go. And we are live, babies. How y'all doing out there on the internet? Well done, Dave. Hi everyone, welcome to the Crafty Boys episode whatever of the Pandemic Edition, where basically, not that we actually do this show in person all that often, but hey, but we're all here again, so welcome. Thank you all for checking us out. I wanted to say that I shaved accidentally. I have a dog that decided that cutting my lip right here is a good idea, and it was bleeding a lot, and I thought, oh my god, has she done a lot of damage? So I shaved that little bit to go, what have I got? But no, it was just a little cut, so nothing was really that damaged. So of course I'd shaved like all of this away because it was all covered in blood. And so yeah, there you go. I aim to look more like Locke every single day. So guys, how's it going?
I'm getting into my beer here.
You getting into your beer? Yeah, me too.
I'm just gonna do this.
Alan, you start. What beer are you drinking tonight?
Okay, well, Dave and I are drinking the same thing because we're both in Victoria, so we could be on the same page. But we are drinking that we've never had, I don't think, this brewery on the show before. It is Twin Sails Brewing from Port Moody, BC, and we are drinking Dat Juice.
Oh my god, that's a really bright can. Holy cow. Dat Juice.
Yeah,
oh yeah,
so
the Citra Pale Ale, which I'm actually kind of excited about.
Yes. I'm excited about this too. Now, I don't know much about Twin Sails Brewing. I think I've actually had this before myself, but
I think we have.
Now, I was looking on their website, and they have some pretty cool beers, including one that I want to point out here, and I want to show the label if I can. It is called their Low Life Lager. And there is a picture of the can.
Nice.
So it's basically a ripoff of Miller High Life. Instead, it's Twin Sails Low Life. I love this. If I can find it, I'm not a lager kind of guy, but if I can find this, I'm going to buy it and I'm going to try it.
That's awesome.
All right. So, Dave, what are you thinking of your beer? Or you guys want to introduce your beers first before we go into reviews?
Well, I will tell you what mine is. Mine is the Hibiscus Wit from, where's my can? From Sundown. It is Sundown. Yeah, Sundown Beer Co., which is actually very close to Twin Sails. It is one of those beer breweries in this place in Vancouver called Yaletown, which is also being nicknamed Brewers Row, I think. So basically, there's a lot of different people doing all kinds of stuff over there in terms of brewing. Like a lot of companies, because a lot of older buildings related to old-timey rail. So there's a lot of big spaces that they can fill with tanks to brew beer. So hey, all the power to them. I'm going to open mine while Locke talks about the beer he's got, which is from outside of the country, I gather?
It is. So... with a pop. This is La Trappe. It is a Trappist ale, triple distilled. It is from the Netherlands, and it has the badge showing it is authentic Trappist product. I don't know if you're aware of the Trappists, but you know how I never shut up? They do all the time. That is their thing. They don't speak. Instead, they do here.
Okay.
Yeah. And so if you didn't talk and just spent your time brewing beer, you could imagine that you would be paying some attention to whether it was any good. So let's give that a shot and find out. It is good. Yeah, this is great, actually. 8%.
Mine smells like flowers.
It is made of water, barley malt, syrup, hops, and yeast. So I think that might actually offend the the Rheinsgebot. The Rheinsgebot, I think, calls for it to be hops, barley. It doesn't talk about yeast because back then they were just superstitious. They just thought, whatever you put the hops in the barley and magic happens. Now we call that yeast, but they probably would have not included syrup in the recipe.
No, probably not.
So anyway,
However, would they have been subject to that? Because I believe, what do you say, Rheinsgebot is
Yes.
German?
It is German, yes. Yeah, the Rheinsgebot was not adopted everywhere, obviously, and it wasn't even adopted uniformly in Germany, which back when they probably started brewing this sucker, wouldn't even have been a nation state yet. It would have been a principality. Collectively known as the Holy Roman Empire, as somebody once observed, neither holy nor Roman nor an empire, but that's what they used to call Germany. This is probably, I would guess that back in the olden days, you probably wouldn't have glucose syrup kicking around. What you might have is something like honey. So this would maybe have started out as a drink, a little bit like a hybrid between beer and mead.
That sounds tasty.
But it's the triple distilling that really gets it, because if you distill something 3 times through, starting out with lots of sugar, by the end of it, by the 3rd distillation, what you have is not a sugary drink, but rather a very complex drink with a high alcohol content and a fair bit of effervescence. Like this is sprightly, fizzy, champagne-like goodness that will have me tipsy in no time.
Right.
I just found a Bloomberg article because I remember reading something about Trappists and their beer. Demand for the Belgian Trappist ale soars after the coronavirus lockdown. Consumers flood the Abbey's online store for the rare West Vletrian ale. 4 times the number of shoppers have crashed their servers for their beer purchasing. The Roman Catholic order that created the St. Sixtus Abbey in West Flanders has overcome 2 world wars and other hardships, but it wasn't prepared for the flood of interest from beer buyers as the coronavirus lockdown eased. Like so many businesses in Belgium, the site of the world's highest per capita death rate from the coronavirus, the Abbey had to shut down sales of its fabled Trappist West Vletrian 12 ale, ranked one of the all-time best on the website ratebeer.com. When the monks reopened last week for just 4 hours, this article, of course, came out 2 days ago. For just 4 hours, pent-up demand drove nearly 4 times the average number of shoppers to the website, crashing their online store. We were confronted by a tsunami of visitors, the monks wrote in an emailed statement. Unfortunately, the computer servers could not handle the massive visitor flow. Even in good times, the beer is nearly impossible to get because you first have to create an account on the Abbey's website, which requires you having a license plate number. If you successfully place an order, your plate will be checked to confirm your identity. What the hell? The maximum purchase allowed is 3 cases of beer. On average, the Abbey will get around 3,000 visitors to its online shop when it puts out an allotment on the market. But when they reopened from 8 p.m. to midnight with 6,000 cases on offer, they had more than 11,000 people log on at one point. The relative scarcity of the West Vletrian, or however you pronounce it, adds to the mystique of the brand and stems from the radical decision by the abbot Dom Gerardus Delii in 1945 to reduce the amount of beer produced, according to the Abbey's website. They now brew about 6,000 hectoliters every year, or about 5,113 barrels. The rarity of the beer allows illegal resellers in downtown Brussels to hawk the beer for as much as 20 euros per bottle. Wow. The monks are taking steps to improve their reservation practices and expand the capacity of the computer system to avoid any glitches, as they will be conducting another sale next week. We hope that everyone and everything will go a little smoother next time, they said. Can we guarantee that everyone who is logged in will get a beer? No. Anyway, I saw that like yesterday afternoon. It only took me about 10 minutes to realize, wait a minute, that's the beer the lock is drinking. So there you go.
It's
20
not
euros.
the
So that's
this is
Well,
a different monastery.
Yeah,
This one is in the Netherlands, but yeah.
but there you go. By the way, the new thing this week are called beer fairies. It is people that are starting up little tiny beer delivery things, since a lot of the mainstream beer delivery companies are being overwhelmed. So people are now doing it themselves, where they basically charge you a few bucks to bring you beer. There you go.
Shane, tell us about your beer. How do you like it?
Yes, my beer, as I said, is the Hibiscus Wit from Sundown Brewing Co., and it looks like this. It smells like flowers, and which I would expect, since it is actually from their floral series, and it tastes real good. I gotta say, it's a very light beer, of course, like with most wits, but I am particularly enjoying it. So there you
Have a
go.
good wit.
How's the weather out there, guys?
It was really hot last week. It rained over the weekend, and now it's fine.
Yeah. Toronto's only just sort of turned the corner where it's now officially warm.
I think we started last week. No, maybe a couple weeks ago we started getting warmer. I'd say, hey, Alan.
Yeah, I would say so. It's been kind of we've kind of gone through fits of rain and wind and stuff like that, but
Yeah.
predominantly warm, I would say.
Predominantly warm. Yeah, I can see that. I mean, it was really hot. Like, it was getting up to like almost 30 the other day. So it was quite hot here.
We
To the
have
point
not
where I
been
was
getting
starting to think I was
close
gonna
to
have to
that
break
here.
out the air conditioner. It was getting so hot. But then, just poof, like just complete and utter like pouring of rain. So, which
Well, I
was-
think it was one day last week, or maybe it was the week before. I don't remember. There was a one day where it was like 27 degrees here in Victoria. Broke a record for that particular day.
Oh,
And like I think I want to say Hope went up to like 31 or something. Week or maybe it was the week before.
If anybody
There was a one
informs
day
me
where
of
it
weather
was
and
like
hope that isn't rain,
27
I always
degrees
sort
here
of
in
look
Victoria.
confused and,
Broke-
and think,
Maybe it wasn't Hope. Maybe it wasn't Hope. Maybe I misheard
no.
something. I don't know. But, and like
I've
I think
never driven through Hope and seen anything except rain. And I've driven through Hope a lot, incidentally.
Mm.
Mhm.
That's 31 degrees in Hope. God. Was it raining?
No, I don't think so. Yeah, that would have been boiling rain.
Boiling rain.
Hey Dave, I'm curious to know what are you thinking of this?
I don't know. I'm not a huge fan,
Okay.
but it's interesting.
Okay.
Elaborate.
Yeah, I know. That's very weird.
Hey
I'm
Dave,
still
I'm
okay. So here's the thing, because I'm still not a real beer drinker in quotes, and I don't have the developed beer palate that you guys would have. For me, I'm still finding, yeah, right. It's interesting to try all these different flavors and different types of beer and all that kind of stuff. It's new, generally. So that's why I say it's interesting, because different flavors. So it's neat to try them out. Would I get this again? I don't know. I probably wouldn't. It's got that kind of.
Describe what you taste when you put it in your mouth. Like what is the flavor of this beer? Does it taste like citrus?
There's some citrus there. Like this is where I need you guys to help me out a bit.
So if I could, because I'm drinking the same.
So basically, we want to drink your beer then.
Well, I asked me because I did see fucking what looked to me like an orange on that can.
Yeah.
Did I?
Yeah.
Yeah. So does it taste like orange juice at all? Because you know that they're do that is sort of their shtick.
Yeah. So
is this one of those beers?
So if I could, what this tastes like, you guys know when you buy like frozen orange juice concentrate that comes in that frozen can, and you put the frozen contents into the jug, right? And then you're supposed to fill that can with like three parts of water and put that in, and it tastes fine. But if you were to put in, say, like another can or two of water, you'd end up with like watery tasting orange juice.
Yeah. That's what that is. Oh no. Okay, Dave,
you know what?
You're starting to make better sense to me. I understand.
I am on board with that description.
Yeah.
Yes.
Not to say that I'm not enjoying it. I am. I've actually had this before. I'm pretty sure. I seem to remember enjoying it more the first time I had it than this time. I don't know if that means that they've changed their recipe or if my palate has changed. But at any rate, it's only 25 IBU, 5.2%. I don't know that I'd get it again, to be honest. I like it, but not that much. If I want a citrusy flavored beer, there's other far better options to go for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm hearing that.
Including fresh squeezed from Deschutes.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
true.
Now that is a brewery that I would go back to.
Deschutes?
I don't know if you guys remember, but I went
That's right, you did.
Last September. I was there. And it was so cool.
The room is beautiful, is it not?
Oh, it's gorgeous. Whoever they got to do those pillars.
Yeah.
Those decorative pillars. I think I tried to describe it to the guys, but it's a little hard to describe. Anyways, it's literally trees that were brought in and cleaned up and bark removed, and then there is a carved what is it? Lock is like I want to say it's a carved lintel type of thingy that runs across or between them. I don't think that's the right phrase, but
actually no. I think lintel is not the wrong phrase. Like it's like you got pillars supporting a big beam, which is ornately carved, and it's a single block of wood. It's sort of pioneer primitivism meets sort of a Renaissance kind of like light and shade, and a little bit Baroque in terms of all the animals, and
right.
I'm pretty sure there's bighorn sheep and things like that sort of roaming around sort of in this sort of great car. Yeah. I mean, now one thing that is funny is when I first discovered Deschutes, it was before I'd ever been to the brewery, probably before. Well, not quite. I think I was actually in Portland a long time ago, but I wouldn't have been old enough to go to breweries back then. But anyway, I would never have seen any of the interior. And they had one of the carvings on one of their labels. And if you've been in the room and you've seen the carving and you look at the label, you're like, oh yeah, that's what that is. But if you've never seen the carving before, and you look at the label, you're like, what the fuck is that? It's this weird looking. Is that a face? What's that? Yeah. Anyway, when you actually see it in person, you realize what it is. Oh yeah. That is beautiful. That is cool. Yeah. Anyway, it's just a warning that sometimes people don't understand what something is referring to. Anyway, go on.
There's a question actually from Matt Webb, who's watching us on Periscope, and he's asking, what is the best brewery that we've been to in the past year? And I assume all of us individually should answer, of course. I'm going to start with Dave, because I know that, Dave, you're going to probably be, I don't know, the most unique, because you went to Portland last fall. So I want to hear more.
So I guess that counts.
He asked about the past year, so I'm curious. What sort? I'm not. Of course, I am also not saying that you had the best brewery there. You could have been somewhere else. So, just saying.
Oh, totally. Okay, so I'd like to preface this again by saying not a real beer drinker, and don't go to breweries a ton. But there was two actually. So Deschutes was super cool. Partially for what Locke and I were just talking about. The space is beautiful. Well thought out, but also the beer I had was gorgeous. I can't remember what it was. They had a bunch of them obviously on tap. I can't remember what it was, but it was very tasty, and the food was also wicked. Such good food. So that was one, and then there was another that I stumbled across, a completely unplanned. There was no plans actually to do any breweries, but stumbled across Deschutes and this other one. What is it called? Pelican. Locke, you may know because you spent time in this neck of the woods.
Yeah.
I think it was Pelican out of is it Cannon Beach? I believe it was.
That sounds
Does that
right.
sound right to you? Yeah. Anyways,
I mean,
that was another one that both myself and my lady were impressed by. My lady is not a beer drinker. But I thought the beer was pretty cool. I enjoyed that, but I also enjoyed the food there as well. Room wasn't as cool as Deschutes, but still very enjoyable, tasty food, and good beer. So those are my two that I've been to. And I should say that little brief period, I was only gone for not even a week. That brief period is the only time in my life, basically, that I've been to breweries.
Really?
I don't. Okay, not quite true. I've been to, with Shane, Red Truck. And I believe that's the only other one. I think that's the only other one. And Red Truck is fun. Red Truck is fun.
Yeah.
And how would you describe them, Shane? They're not, Greasy Spoon comes to mind, but they're not Greasy Spoon. They're just
no, not really. I
maybe
mean,
they're pub style.
They're pub style, definitely.
It's good food.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's good food.
It's they have some, they have some things that you can maybe want to consider as to being a little more upscale, like salads and things. But really, it's more or less, burgers and hot dogs and things.
Well done food. I'm not knocking them at all. It's good food.
It's been a long time since I've been down to Portland for breweries. I went there probably 2013-ish for a conference, and but the best part of that trip was finding out that Washington State, so just before you get to Portland, there's a town called Vader, which I really wanted to go to, but didn't have enough time. But also Castle Rock, which is if you're a Stephen King fan, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. So cool stuff like that. But I haven't actually been on the West Coast Highway for a long time. There's all kinds. There's probably a road trip that we should go on at some point next year after the disease-ridden world we live in right now is hopefully done.
Yeah.
So, Shane, you haven't actually answered the question.
I'm actually answering questions, but I'm answering them online. So, Locke, What is your favorite brewery in the last year?
Will you make up your mind?
Yeah.
All right. So, being the Canadian economic nationalist that I am, I initially thought only about talking about breweries I've been to in Canada, and we are talking about in the last year, and I haven't been to that many places in the last year. But so let me clarify a couple of things here. One, if we're talking about the best brewery, meaning the best beer from a brewery, the best brewery is Spinnaker's. But I've talked about Spinnaker's a lot, and so let's talk about some other breweries. I could talk to you about Flying Monkeys as the best brewery that I've been to in the last year, because it was fresh to me, and I've only been there a few times. It's in Barrie. It's an Ontario brewery that has distribution, I think, pretty much at this point throughout Ontario. The product is specialist. It's interesting. They do really crazy flavors. They're not strictly using hops in terms of their bittering. They use other stuff as well, like other botanicals, right?
Right.
I find the names that they choose for their beers irritating. So let's move on from Flying Monkeys and talk a little bit about Louis Cypher. They're called Louis Cypher. Louis, as in the name Louis Cypher.
Yep.
Cypher.
Right.
Louis Cypher, right? They have a Thai IPA where they used lemongrass in the recipe, but it's a little bit sweet for my liking. Just a little bit too sweet. So ultimately, I'm coming back to a brewery that I've been to in the last year. I actually have been there in the last year, and I don't think I've talked about it to a great extent. I don't know if their beer isn't better than Spinnaker's, but as a brewery, as an operation, it's super cool. And that's Pike Brewery in Pike Place in Seattle.
Oh, yes.
It's cool. Like, you go in there and it's got little pictures and bric-a-brac and stuff stuck to everything. It's huge. It's like in Pike Place, if you don't know what I'm talking about, is this crazy market that's out sort of right next to the water. And it's one of those things, it's like walking into Big Trouble in Little China. Everything's an alleyway that leads to an alleyway that leads to a staircase that leads to an alleyway that leads to a staircase. And it's all got shops, people selling stuff. Who knows what it's like in lockdown? I mean, the last little while in Seattle, Washington got hit first as far as the U.S. And so I imagine that was one of the first places to get shut down. But walking around there used to be an amazing experience. It was so colorful, so much to look at, so distracting, right? And Pike Place was that times 10. It was like the most distracting, most like stuff on the wall, most pictures, most memorabilia that you've seen stacked up probably anywhere. And the beer is good and the food's good. And there's a million rooms, and you can wander around and you meet people, and everybody's hanging out. Oh man, yeah. Pike Brewery is my pick. Shane, back to you.
Let me think. I would suspect that in the last year, my favorite brewery that I've been to, you know what? Actually, it would be Beer Brewing, which is in North Van. The Beer family, Beere.
Okay.
It's been around for some time, but it's still got that sort of nano brewery kind of feel to it. And they had some very strange beers that I sort of think of them as a brewery, kind of like I want to say Fountain, not Fountain, Foundation, which is just over here, not too far. Fountain, not Fountain. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But basically, that sort of small brewery that's not afraid to really make some really bold choices for how to make beer. So yeah, I kind of like how they had like there was one that I had which was an IPA that had banana in it, which was interesting. Which actually worked. I thought it was gonna suck, but I thought I'd try it, of course. So yeah, because I was there, yeah, last summer, I think, like almost maybe last spring, almost a year ago, and yeah, it was a happy little find because I wasn't going there really other than to just kind of pause there on my way to. I went to a CBC recording, like a live recording of the debaters, and so that was like, and I'd been to beer like once before. Sorry.
You've been to a live recording of the debaters?
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah, no, they do it out here in Vancouver once a year, where they do usually in North Van apparently, and they record, I don't know, like 6 episodes in an evening kind of thing. So, you're there, and it's
And Katie Ellen Humphreys is usually part of that, isn't she?
I have no idea. I've listened to the debaters a few times, of course,
Okay.
on the radio, but I don't listen to it like it's not a religious thing for me. But it was fascinating to hold. You had to hold your clapping. You had to clap. You had to pause, wait for the guy to do his announcement, then clap some more, kind of thing. It was very strange as compared to if you listen to it on the radio. But it's fun. It was fun, and of course, I went to North Van like within like 2 weeks. I went there a couple times for different events, and both times went to the beer brewing. Was it beer brewery? I can't remember. But it's actually something. The one thing they don't do is they do can locally, but they don't ship it as that far away. So and you only see it once in a while at different sort of tasting rooms and bars around town. But aside from the really strange beer that I had there the first time with a banana in it, the second time I went, they had some incredibly strong stouts, which I really liked. I do not remember what they were called or what did them, but they were.
That's what's wrong.
It's how strong they were. So, but I would go. I mean, my point is, I would go back. Like it's not a question at all. So, I think out of the last year, and I'm of course discounting all of the other breweries that I've been to that are decent. Like I've been to Yale Brewing, Steamworks and stuff like that, Red Truck. But of all of the other ones that I've rarely been to that I do, darken their door every once in a while, beer was definitely the memorable one. So, what about you, Alan?
Well, I see in the past year, it's kind of tough, but because I haven't really visited a lot of what makes a brewery memorable is one that's different, one that I haven't been to before, and most of this local stuff here I could buy at a liquor store locally. Yeah. But if I have to single anybody out for quality of beer, that would be Red Arrow in Duncan. And for experience, that would be Whistle Boy in Market Square here in Victoria.
Ooh. Tell me more about Whistle Boy. Who are these guys?
Okay, so Whistle Boy is a nano brewery. They're located in Market Square here in Victoria. If you go there, say on a Friday or Saturday night, it has a similar feeling to, I want to say, like Faculty Brewing in Vancouver, where you walk in and sort of like there's just all these long tables and everybody sits at a long table, and like you're sitting with your group, but you're sitting with other groups and that kind of thing. Plus, I had like an outdoor patio that was set up, and it's just the ambiance of it was really cool, very social, and the beers were pretty darn good. Not as good as Red Arrow and Duncan or Category 12 out on Keating or anything like that. But man, what an experience, and I would totally go back on any Friday or Saturday night if I'm going with a group.
Where in Market Square are they?
Where in Market Square?
They're right above the bead shop. I think. Are they not?
Oh, really?
Well, no, they'd be
Is
below.
the beach shop still there then?
They're on the ground
shop.
floor.
Okay, they're below the beach shop. Yeah. So yeah, they're on the. You know, Market Square used to have that big, big cover, right? Yeah. That where that used to be. That's where they are.
Yeah.
So at that point.
So they'd be on the northeastern corner.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. Interesting. Ah.
Yeah. It's really next time you're in Victoria, Luck, I really suggest going to Whistle Boy.
I'll probably be driving, but yeah, I mean,
yeah, sure.
You know, I quite honestly, I mean, the one thing that you and everyone here haven't done is we haven't done like a brewery tour, where we basically start at one point. Yeah.
When we do, and I think that we should, let's film it.
No, I totally agree.
Take a road movie.
I would like to
road movie.
Because I wouldn't mind trying out, going to. I mean, let's do it on the island kind of thing, just as a thing, just because we're mainly all from there. But starting out at like Bad Dog, Soup Brewing, and then moving sort of into Langford, going to like. Isn't Okanagan Spring Brewery somewhere in Langford? Like, I seem to recall, not that I want to go there, because I think that's more of a...
No.
Not really a craft brewing place.
Okanagan Spring Brewing is in the Okanagan.
Yeah, but they actually have a brew house. They actually have a facility out in Langford somewhere, yeah.
I had no idea. I had no clue.
But, there's other places to go, right? So
how far would we go?
Yeah.
Nanaimo, Courtney. We could stop at Dave's parents' house and invade their home.
This is through lockdown. On the other side of lockdown, we're doing a road movie.
All right.
That would be kind of.
We could, in theory, go all the way to Campbell River, because Campbell River has, I believe it's Fireside.
Could we
Campfire.
go to 4 Mile? We could go to Phillips. We could go to Whistle Boy, Hoyne, Driftwood. I just actually brought this list up here. Driftwood, Lighthouse. We'd have to go to, of course, Spinnaker's as well. Caledonian. We'd have to go there. The Twa Dogs people. Category Howell, which is out in Sydney, I think. And then, of course, there's okay, here we go. Red Arrow, Small Block Brewing Co. I don't know what the hell that is.
They're fairly new.
There's a couple others in Duncan, but if we go further north, let's go further north in the island here. And
let's see. Nanaimo's got, what is it? It was Wolf Brewing.
They've got Wolf Brewing. They've got White Sails.
White Sails, yeah, okay. Wolf, White Sails. They also have Cliffside, Longwood.
Longwood.
There's also let's see. I'm going further north here. We've got who else?
Aerosmith.
Oh yeah.
And Kiss.
Well, pardon me, it's Mount Aerosmith.
Then, of course, there's Gladstone, Cumberland Brewing. We've also got like a couple. There's a whole bunch of breweries up in the Courtney area. Then, if we go, how far did you say Campbell River?
Yeah, Campbell River.
There's in Campbell River. There's Beachfire Brewing and North Island Brewing. So there's definitely places we could check out. I mean, that would be totally worthwhile. We'd have to probably, do it in a week or two,
or more.
Because, we could, quite honestly, like hop on ferries and go to the Sunshine Coast and that kind of stuff. And there's like Town Site is in. Where's Town Site?
Gibson's.
No. Town Site's further north. Powell River. There's also some stuff on the Sunshine Coast as well. I mean, there's definitely at least a couple breweries there. There's like Persephone, duh. There's also Bowen Island, which I think is a small brewery. It's like a brew pub kind of thing. Anyway, so there you go. we have options, which is the point. I don't think there's too many breweries up island, like the far north of the island. So I mean, there's definitely pubs and stuff.
Tofino.
Sorry.
Tofino.
Oh, I hadn't thought of Tofino. You're right. That's a good point.
Oh man, wouldn't it be awesome to go to Tofino?
The Tofino Brewing. There's also the Uculate Brewing Co.
Off too. Tax write-off.
Road trip to Tofino.
Pacific Rim Distilling.
Oh. So are we doing the whiskeys and such as well?
Well, I'm just saying that if we're gonna go that far. I mean, it's not a drop in the bucket. You just don't trip and fall into Tofino. You know, you gotta plan. You gotta get there, and then when you get there, you gotta try the local wares. You know, so you know if you fall out of the brew pub and you walk down the street, you're suddenly at the distillery. I mean, the Twa Dogs and Caledonia there, you fall out of the room and you're suddenly at the distillery. I mean, we've been there. Didn't Twa Dogs catch on fire last year or the year before?
They did have a little bit of a peat fire, apparently.
Peat fire? Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
I think it was very easily contained. But yeah, they had a bit of fire.
Okay, well, all right. I was kind of curious.
For those who don't know, Cinder had another fire.
Well, that's true.
True.
And my understanding is the pandemic was well timed.
And so did 4 Mile. 4 Mile had a fire too.
4 Mile had a fire?
Did 4 Mile have a fire?
I'm pretty sure it was a fire. They actually had to shut down for quite a while. Maybe it wasn't a fire. Maybe it was something else. They were shut down for quite a while, though.
No.
4 Mile Pub reopens after a fire in October.
Yes, it was a fire.
The older part of that building that's probably old. That is legitimately Vancouver Island heritage building.
The 4 Mile Pub in View Royal reopened on January 21st. They had because the fire that they had was last October. They took time to do a lot of upgrading to the building, like wiring and stuff like that. I mean, when you fire. So basically, the firefighters had to deal with the 150-year-old building, the Tudor-style building. The sprinkler system didn't activate because the fire was inside the walls and the floor. So the crews had to pull the walls of the kitchen down and then had to cut it through the floor in order to get to the fire. Wow, that is amazing. And they saved the building, which is even the scarier part. Holy crap.
Awesome.
Nice.
That is really good news because I got to say that is yeah.
I mean, that's one of those situations where you turn around and you're like, okay, so building almost burned down. We've torn down some walls in the kitchen, so maybe we should tear down a lot more, get inside the walls and the floor, and make sure there's nothing else that's going to suddenly start on fire and try and burn us to the ground.
Well, you know what they used to use for insulation, right? Like I've worked in a number of parametric buildings, and you'd be surprised the number that are insulated with sawdust.
Yeah, well, my parents they bought a house in Oak Bay, Oak Bay, same thing. Many years ago, back in the early '90s, and we actually spent some time basically ripping it apart. And the tenants that my parents had, they'd had them for years, who were actually friends of mine at the time. And then sometime in the early 2000s, they moved out. And so my parents decided to do some renovating. And the power in the building, in the house, is the wire and wrapped around porcelain pops and things, like through the attic and whatnot. So that was kind of amazing. But then the other part was a friend of the show, Todd, fell through the kitchen floor because it had rotted away underneath where the previous tenants the fridge had
And
been.
that's not a comment on Todd's weight at all.
No. The floor was. I'm surprised the floor hadn't caved in already. But the big thing is the inside the walls. When they tore the walls down to do proper insulation, it was just like what you're saying, Locke. It was sawdust newspapers from like 1905, like 1910.
Wow.
And stuff like that. There were pop bottles. There was just junk. You know, it was like, how do we insulate? I don't know. Just throw whatever's nearby in and wall it up. So yeah, I mean that's basically what it was. Now it has proper insulation, but I'm just saying back then when it was first done, like, oh my god. I mean the house is very old. It's like one of the original sort of cottages, farmhouses of the area back in the day. Yeah. So. You know, when it was built, there was like nothing for like a couple of clicks. So, there you go.
Wow.
But I'm kind of glad that but that kind of house. I mean, at that age, if that thing were to catch on fire, that would just whoosh, it would be gone. You know, like in 5 minutes, kind of thing. Because the wood is so old. I mean, that happened at in Notre Dame when it caught on fire like just a year and a bit ago. Yeah. The wood was hundreds of years old, so you can imagine how dry it would have been. And and so, yeah. Actually, you know what's really interesting is that I was looking up Notre Dame because they just had the fire was in mid-April, I think, last year. So 1 year already has been done, and there's quite a bit of construction going on. However, not since COVID-19 struck, so a lot of that has sort of vanished and evaporated. So, yeah. It's fascinating. Poor buildings. Well, we've been actually streaming for almost an hour, boys. We are we feeling a little tired, feeling a little sad. You know, we want to go to bed. Like, what's going on?
I should probably.
That was aimed at Dave because I knew exactly Dave would pounce upon that. Oh yeah, gotta go to bed now. Yeah. Tired. I gotta get out of my. I gotta wake up in the morning and stay in my jammies and do my phone job. You know, it's really hard. It's just exhausting. Says Shane, who got up this morning. Was like, sweatpants and a hoodie. That's my uniform for the day.
I actually do dress as if I'm going into work mostly.
You wear dresses to work? Wow, okay. All right, yeah.
I wear dresses to work, yes.
That's what I heard.
No, so it's kind of a creating separation between the home office and home, right? I pretend like I'm actually going to work
when you're wearing a dress.
On that note,
hey, it does the job. It does the job.
Hey,
don't knock it till you try it, boys.
I'm trained to be a lawyer. I know about wearing dresses.
And wigs too. I do not do the wigs.
if you're in the Channel Isles.
Oh my god. Okay, on that note, boys, we should go to bed. And of course, we will attempt to do a stream on the weekend, probably Saturday. And otherwise, we'll see you all next week. Thank you all for watching. And thanks to Matt Webb, who stuck around for quite some time, asked us some very good questions about who the hell we were. And but that's okay, because life moves on. As always, Alan, try to take us out.
I'll try. I had it set up. It was a donkey.